Hello, everybody. What did Messiah say? That's the question today I want to ask. Are you doing what he said? Everybody um, in these 45,000 denominations seem to have a love for the Messiah. Okay? They call him Jesus, but we see in Scripture that in John 5, maybe we should go there right quick. John 5. John 5, 42. It says, "But I know you," this is Messiah, "but I know you that you have not the love of God in you. I am come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive." So, love the Father, right? The elevated commandment with all your heart, soul, and mind. You're going to hear his commandments. That's how you do that. That's Deuteronomy 6. The Father's name is Jehovah. For a shortened form of that is Yah. And then verse 43, "I'm come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive." So Zechariah 3:1 is Joshua in Scripture. It has that word Yah in it, Joshua. So this is the Messiah's name, Joshua, if it was translated to English. Okay? But we have these denominations that have adhered to Emperor Constantine's change in 325 AD, where he changed the Messiah's name to Isis Horus Krishna, or Jesus Christ. So know that those have to be thought of when you consider John 5:43. The two names is the correct name is Yeshua, okay, or Joshua. That's the one you need to be concerned with because of Acts 4:12. So the Messiah's name, we got that down, but everybody loves the Messiah. This is a good thing. You have Jehovah, the Father Jehovah, and the Messiah. A lot of people are saying that Jesus is God, but this breaks the first commandment. So don't break the first commandment. No other gods before Jehovah. And then you have scriptures like, uh, what is it? Matthew 19:17. We should read that real quick. I'm close to Matthew here. Um, Matthew 19:17. This is what Messiah said. And he said unto him, "Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God." That's Jehovah. "But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments." So Messiah is saying, are you interested in entering into life? Keep the commandments. And he's also saying Jehovah is the most high over all the earth, as it says in Psalms 83:18. There's only one good, that's Jehovah. He's giving glory to his Father in this verse. So the Messiah is saying keep the commandments. That's pretty interesting. But you have to understand we have 45,000 denominations that are disobedient. They're not keeping the commandments. So I want to look around in Scripture to see what's going on, what the problem is, what's the breakdown. We have 45,000 denominations, and most of these pastors come from seminary, and the congregants aren't interested in the Holy Covenant. So we have some teaching away from the covenant in these denominations, and all of them have gone apostate away from the commandments. And that says it's going to happen in the last days in the Word. Uh, but they have this love for Messiah, and they haven't studied out a few things. But since we were just in John 5, I'm left there, but let's go there and look a little bit closer. Let's see what the Messiah came to do in John 5. Let's start in the 44th verse. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from Jehovah only? Jehovah is the Father, the Most High. Verse 45, do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So we need to go learn about the Messiah real quick. Messiah's telling us to go read about what Moses said about him in that verse. This is part of learning what the Messiah said to do, right? So we're going to go over here to Deuteronomy 18, and we're going to read 15 through 19 real quick. It says, and this is Moses speaking. He's going to be talking about a prophet that would come, and it's talking about Yeshua. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me, and to him you shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of the Lord Jehovah in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God Jehovah, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. I guess they were frightened of Jehovah. Unlike today, they don't even think about him. That's a sad thing. Everybody thinks about Messiah, but they don't understand that the Creator desires to have a relationship with them personally. Verse 17, and the Lord said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken, and I will raise them up a prophet. This is Yeshua, Zechariah 3:1, from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth. In other words, the Father would speak through Messiah. So when Messiah speaks, that's the Father speaking through him. And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. So it's to be noted that in Acts 3, I think it's around the 26th verse, if I'm not mistaken, it says that, maybe it's 25, the 25th verse, somewhere in there close. Search it out. It says that you will be destroyed if you don't listen to Messiah. So it's really important that we hear Messiah. But we have to understand that the Messiah in this passage we just read in verse 16, the Messiah's meat was to do his Father's will, and his Father's will was that he was the messenger of the Holy Covenant. Okay, we see him being the messenger there because he represents the assembly of Horeb, and that was where the people received the Ten Commandments, the Holy Covenant. The life-giving waters that flowed out of the rock of Horeb was the Ten Commandments, and the rock of Horeb was in fact Messiah. He's representing that rock. So here we are understanding this, and then we have John 4:34. I was telling you about Messiah coming to do his Father's will. So I just want to make that clear to you. And Yeshua saith unto him, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his works. He's talking about his Father. So that was the Messiah's work. Throughout Scripture, the Father has been trying to get his people to be obedient and keep the commandments. So that's what the work of the Messiah was. He was the messenger of the Holy Covenant. And just as a side note, you need to see probably Isaiah 42:21. It's talking about the two elevated commandments in Matthew 22. One being the royal law. That's the second elevated commandment. That's speaking of Leviticus 19:15 through 18, and James 2:8 and 9. but it's talking about rebuking sin, and you'd have to use the Father's righteousness, which is his Ten Commandments, it says in Psalms 119, 172. And Deuteronomy 6:25 is credited to us as righteousness if we keep the commandments. So here we are in Isaiah 42:21 is talking about those elevated commandments, which you have to utilize the Ten Commandments as a tool to perform those two elevated commandments in Matthew 22. It says here, the Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake that he will magnify the law and make it honorable. So this is saying that the Ten Commandments are not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, we have to utilize them again in those two elevated commandments in Matthew 22. But let's get to the end of the book here in Revelation 22:14, and I want to show you have to consider your latter end in Scripture and how to get into the kingdom, because there is an admission charge. I say an admission charge. You have to have kept something to enter. Let's read about it. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. So this is saying, if you wish to enter in to heaven or New Jerusalem, and you want to have the right to the tree of life, you better have kept the Ten Commandments. Okay. So verse 15, you might note. I'm not going to read it, but note that when you read it. Is talking about those that are least in the kingdom, the workers of iniquity that are teaching away from the Ten Commandments in these close to 45,000 denominations that will not adhere to the Holy Covenant. Okay, so at this time, I want to start looking at exactly what the Messiah said, and I want to open up with, let's see, 1 John 3:4. Let's look at that real quick. First John 3:4, it says, and whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. It's talking about the Ten Commandments. It's talking about breaking the Ten Commandments. So that's what Messiah did, his work on the tree. He ended sacrificial law. We should probably look at that real quick. Talking about, the added sacrificial law that is talked about in Galatians 3:19. Paul says that was added because of transgressions. The sacrificial law, the schoolmaster, written by Moses, that was added because we broke the Ten Commandments and made the golden calf. So here we are. I want you to see that it is clearly finished by these scriptures. I want to point out to you here in Deuteronomy 31:24. It's going to be telling you that Moses wrote these with his handwriting. Remember, Father wrote the Ten Commandments on 2 tablets of stone with the finger of God. So this is different. This is talking about Moses writing this book of the law. In Deuteronomy 31:24, we'll read it right quick. It says, this is 24. And it came to pass, when Moses had made an end of writing the words of this law in a book until they were finished. I want you to focus on the word finished for just a minute. So the word finished is stating that the sacrificial law is finished. And we're going to see quickly here in John Well, there it is. John 19:30. It says, I don't think I'm in the wrong. Here we are. When When Yeshua therefore had received the vinegar when he was on the tree, right? He said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. So that's telling you that the sacrificial law is ended. This is not the commandments. This is not the Ten Commandments. This is only pertaining to the sacrificial law. And I just read you that we have to have kept the commandments to enter into the kingdom in the very last book of the Bible. So it's showing you that we have to be obedient. But I want to show you in Colossians 2:14. It says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. So that's the handwriting of Moses. The ordinances that was against us, the schoolmaster is finished. Okay. So now let's get into what the Messiah said to do. And let's go to 1 John 5:14. If I can find 1 John again. 1 John 5:14. Put that down right. That's not what I thought it was. I may have wrote that down wrong. Let me go to John, see if I misquoted. Bear with me a minute. Where is that at? I totally lost it. Let me try one more place. I had a little mishap there. Sorry, you guys. Well, I totally cannot find it. It's embarrassing. Maybe I'll think about it in just a minute. Let's go on and study some other stuff until I find it. I thought it was 1 John 14. It's not there. I don't know where it's at. Sorry, you guys. So I just want to tell you in 1 John 5. It's still not there. Totally blindsided me here. Sorry, guys. John 14:15. It says, the Messiah says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And I want to address this. This is what the Messiah said to do. And we have these denominations that are not adhering to this. This is the Messiah. It's written in red. If you love me, keep my commandments. But they still don't want to have nothing to do with the Holy Covenant. So let's go on to Matthew 5. Matthew 5. This is verse 19. This is the Beatitude chapter. It says, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So Messiah clearly is saying, be great in the kingdom of heaven, do and teach the Father's commandments. Okay, so let's go to there's one more entry I wanted to look at. John 14. Let's go to John 14. John 15. Okay, verse 10. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide. This is John, 15, verse 10. John 15:10. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. That's a quoting the elevated commandment, the royal law. Let's see here. There's another one. Anyway, my case is that why won't you listen to your Messiah? You say you love him in the denominations when he says keep the commandments. You won't even listen to your fathers say that. So I want to show you that this is a problem, because when you get over into Romans 1, this is disobedience. Well, that missing scripture threw my game off. I apologize, guys. Maybe I can bring it up in another video. I don't know what happened to it. I guess I wrote it down wrong. Romans 1, let's see. Verse 17, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith into faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Faith is obedience. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against the all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. So there's these denominations that hold the truth in unrighteousness. They won't hold any value in the Holy Covenant. They think it's ended. So they haven't been told that sacrificial law is ended, but the Ten Commandments remain. So this is a problem. Because that which they may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. So let's go to Romans 10. This is all talking about not adhering to the Father's righteousness, which is the Holy Covenant, which the Messiah was the messenger of back in, we read in Deuteronomy 18 earlier. Verse 1 of Romans 10, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. Remember, you're grafted into Israel at Romans 11. There's neither Jew nor Gentile, but one in Messiah. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, they have not submitted themselves to the righteousness of Jehovah. And then you have Ephesians 5:6. It says, let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God, a wrath of Jehovah upon the children of disobedience. So these people will not even hear their Messiah. They're going to be destroyed, as it says in Acts 3, around the 26th verse, I think, because they wouldn't even hear their Messiah say, if you love me, keep my commandments. So this is a big, huge problem. Then let's go to Matthew 7. Matthew 7 reads, and they don't even know the Messiah's name is Yeshua, and they're using the name of Baal, which is Christmas Jesus. So this is what's going on here as well. This is verse 22 of chapter 7 of Matthew. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, this is Yeshua talking, I never knew you, depart from me, you that work iniquity. So they're actually people teaching away from the commandments, becoming least in the kingdom. So this is a problem. This is totally against the Messiah's instruction of Matthew 5:19, to be great in the kingdom, to do and teach his Father's commandments. So we have a breakdown in belief. I say belief because they don't really believe their Messiah. Even the Messiah said to keep the commandments if you love him, and they don't believe that he meant that, obviously. They don't believe their Messiah. We've had quite a few references today concerning the Messiah and keeping of the commandments. So come out of these denominations. They're leading you guys astray, away from the commandments and into unrighteousness. That would be a spooky thing to hear the Messiah say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, because you haven't been under the understanding that you must keep the commandments to make the kingdom. That would be pretty scary. And another thing, you have these people at their vulnerable state in and around these baptismal tanks, and the life-giving water of Horeb that flowed out of the rock, which was the representative of the Messiah, um, was the Ten Commandments. And these people aren't being told that the conversion that they're needing in these baptismal tanks is to change the inner man and to now keep the commandments after the Messiah has given them a clean slate. So it's pretty wicked to get these people pretty vulnerable in these baptismal tanks and then not tell them to keep the commandments, and then not share with them the name of Jehovah, the name of Yeshua around these baptismal tanks. It's pretty wicked. So come out of her, my people. You need to understand that the Messiah is the messenger of the Holy Covenant. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments.